Hello and welcome to the Game Theory Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Vecenie. Today, Bryce Simon and I are here. We're going to break down the Desmond Bane trade. He's going to the Orlando Magic for a cash and a haul of draft picks going from Orlando to the Memphis Grizzlies. Then we're going to do a 2025 NBA mock draft, and we're going to base this on what we would do. It's kind of our vision here, what the two of us would do in each spot. But before we get there, let's hit the music.
They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Way downtown.
Bang! Bang! What is this going to be? Wow! Are you kidding me?
Hello and welcome to the Game Theory Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Vecenie. But if you watch the tape, what you will see completely orchestrated this game. Bryce, I was having such a nice morning. Like my plan, I had a plan. I was going to wake up at 6. I was going to start reading the book that I've wanted to read here for a minute, Henry V by Dan Jones. And, you know, I did that. I did read like 15 pages of my book, but you see, you look at the Twitter machine, you look at everything that's happening, and you see, oh, Desmond Bane got traded today on Father's Day of all days, by the way. Like Zach Kleiman, you know, has 2 kids, and he's just like, you know, forgetting Father's Day, and he's just like, yeah, let's go on ahead and, you know, make deals on this great day and just go for it. So, you know, cool. Sounds great, guys. Awesome. Thanks. Appreciate it. Bryce, how are you on Father's Day?
I mean, I've just been waiting for you to wake up because I've been spending the last 6 hours waiting to talk about this. And so, somebody tweeted at us and, hey, you guys going to go live? And it's like, well, it's like midnight where Sam is at. So no, I don't think we're going live right now. Let's wait a little bit. These are the mechanics of podcasting with somebody who's literally on the other side of the world.
This is true. This is very true. Okay, so let's talk about it. The Memphis Grizzlies have traded Desmond Bane to the Orlando Magic for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Cole Anthony, the number 16 overall pick, a 2026 first-round pick that is essentially the second best pick of the Washington Wizards in the Phoenix Suns. So potentially like a valuable pick there. A 2028 unprotected first-round pick from Orlando and a 2030 unprotected first-round pick from Orlando. They also get a 2029 first-round pick swap with Orlando. That is a haul, to be clear, for Desmond Bane. What was your? I'm still swimming in it. You know, we're trying to figure this out, guys. We're trying to figure it out on the fly a little bit. What was your immediate thought when you saw this?
So the very first thing that happened was somebody sent the screenshot of the Shams tweet into a group chat I was part of. And I immediately went to Twitter to show them that they had like a fake Shams that they were. I was like, Desmond Bane's not getting traded on Sunday, June 15th, Father's Day, right? Like, that's not what we're doing. This Kevin Durant news comes today. Okay, maybe. But I was not.
It was Shams. Chamania.
Yeah, I literally looked at the handle, Sam, because I've gotten got before mostly with Pistons stuff. I got on like the most random backup point guard signing or something. It's just absolutely these people are, I mean, they're good at it, but come on, backup point guard, but they know we're over everything. So that was the first thing. Then my next thing was that's a lot, right? Like that seemed like a lot of draft capital. As I've sat on it today, I still think it's a lot. With that said, I do really like this fit of Desmond Bane in Orlando, right? Like we've done this. I saw somebody said like rest in peace to the Anthony Simons trade ideas to Orlando that, you know, never materialized. I think we ended up on Malik Monk maybe in our Magic offseason preview. So like everybody was kind of in the right realm of stuff. So then I got to the point where I'm really intrigued by this Magic team and they're going for it, which I always respect. And I think I've landed where I think it's still an overpay, maybe by a first round pick or something like that. And my guess is Orlando identified Desmond Bane and Kleiman forced Orlando to give him what they wanted because it wasn't any sort of the other way around where the Grizzlies were shopping Desmond Bane, would be my guess.
Yeah. So, okay. So Desmond Bane over the last 4 years of his career, right? And Bane like does have a tendency, just because he's so physical, like he will miss some time here and there.
Yeah, I saw that with the games played. Like there's a little bit there to be nervous about. Is that fair, Sam? Nervous?
I don't even know about
nervous is a little strong.
None of them
aware?
Of them are like, yeah, aware. None of them are injuries that are persistent, really. It's just that he plays really hard and will pick some things up, right? So Bane is averaging over the last 4 seasons. So this is a long sample now. 20 points on 47, 41, 89 with 5 rebounds, 4.3 assists, a 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. He's also a pretty stout physical defender. He's a good rotational defender who knows where he needs to be. He is also a guy that, you know, is more physical and strong at the point of attack than anything. I think he's pretty good, honestly, on defense. I wouldn't say he's an all defense guy, like not really all that close to that level, frankly, but he's a solid, good defender, right? And when you add the value of the offense in, where he is probably one of the league's 6 or 7 preeminent 3-point shooters at the end of the day, like it'd be Steph, it would be, you know, he's like just in the class below Steph, I would argue. It's the exact player that Orlando needs. It actually is genuinely, if you asked me like the ideal player that I could go get if I was Orlando, it wouldn't look all that dissimilar from Desmond Bane, because he is such a real shooter off of movement. He's a real threat that teams have to stay attached to across the perimeter constantly. He can run off of different actions. He can screen and pick and roll. Like Paulo and Bane, like ball screen, like slip actions, if they get really creative, are going to be really, really hard to guard. Because in theory, you have to have a guy who's quick enough to be able to like deal with Bane coming off of all sorts of like different actions off the ball. But most of those guys aren't actually strong enough to deal with Paulo in mismatch situations, right? So you just start to think about the mechanics of how something like this really works, right? How it bears itself out on the court, like particularly. And you get really excited about Orlando.
Yeah.
This is genuinely, I think, the perfect player for them. On top of it, what is the other thing that you and I have always talked about on the defensive end with Orlando? We don't want them to go get a smaller guard like Trae Young, frankly, Desmond Bane's teammate, Ja Morant. We've always loved the idea of them being able to invert a lot of what they do offensively, using Paulo as your primary creator, using, you know, Franz Wagner at times as your primary creator, and now using Desmond Bane as a creator who can initiate actions, because he's gotten way better in ball screens over the course of his career as well. Because of that, we've always loved the idea of them staying big on defense. They've built this entire infrastructure on the idea of being an elite defensive team, being a bully on that end of the court. Bane allows them to do that more than a smaller guard like a Trae Young or somebody like that would. I think the fit is genuinely perfect. And now you have Jalen Suggs and Desmond Bane as your backcourt combo. I mean, that's a tough thing to deal with on the defensive end. And then on offense, again, the whole thing is that we're assuming Paulo's our primary creator. The whole thing with Orlando is based on the idea that Paulo is going to be an all-NBA player.
Yeah.
Right? Put players in the positions that allow him to thrive that way. This is the exact kind of deal that allows him to thrive that way. Now, I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried about the price tag.
Well,
It's an aggressive price tag.
Let's stay on Bane for a second till we get to the price tag, because I want to point out something defensively, because I've seen a lot of conversation around Bane's defense. I think one thing we need to recognize as well, he's going to guard the other team's third best perimeter offensive player in the starting lineup. Jalen Suggs will be back and will take the primary matchups. If it's a bigger guy, then Franz is going to take that matchup. So like he's in an infrastructure and with a roster, even in a second unit, right? Let's say he's going to kind of do some creation in the second unit, right? You stagger him into that. Well, then Anthony Black is going to take that matchup. So I think defensively, he's going to be fine in terms of the matchups he has to take and what he has to do. And I'm glad you brought up the on-ball ability. Like I went back through my notes when this trade happened, Sam. I have a lot of notes about how impressed I was with what he did off the bounce this year. And so when we talk about teams needing multiple ball handlers, they have Paolo, they have Franz, Suggs can obviously do it a little bit. Like Bane is the ideal because he can obviously play off the ball. He made 53% of his unguarded catch and shoots last season, 40% overall. I think he was like 44% on off screens. It's just like the variety and versatility of the scoring. And you brought up like the overall numbers. I just want to I want to go the last 2 years, or no, the last 3 years, Sam. 170 games, 48, 39, 88, 5-5 rebounds and assists. Like, when you look across his numbers, it doesn't matter whether he took 7 shots a game as a rookie, 18.5 2 seasons ago, whether he took 4 threes a game as a rookie or 8.5 2 seasons. The percentages are so impressive. I mean, we're going to get to the price tag, but this is a really good offensive player, a little better than neutral defensively, which fits in fine with Orlando. I think it's a great fit. Now we can get to the price tag.
It's a lot. It's a lot. So 4 first-round picks in a swap. I thought it was really funny the way it was framed as 4 unprotected picks. Guys, the 16th pick it's the 16th pick. I guess in theory it's unprotected. You aren't protecting the 16th pick, but it's the 16th pick.
So we think that Sham's tweet probably came from either Desmond Bane's agent wanting his player to sound like he got as much of a haul as possible, or something from within the Memphis, or that probably didn't come from Orlando's side, right? Would we agree?
Who knows? Very, very strange. Yeah. Very
can we break down this return? Like, what do we think KCP getting off of KCP's money? What do we think that was that worth a first round pick?
So I would guess that if KCP hit the market this summer, do you think he gets the mid-level? I don't think so.
He had a bad year, Sam.
He had a really bad year. So I would venture, I think my answer is that he gets slightly less than the mid-level and has how much left? I think it's
40.
I think it's like 45 million left.
Yeah.
So it's probably a deal that's like 25 million underwater. I think it costs the first round pick to get off of that deal.
Okay.
Is the reality. Cole Anthony is, another specific amount of money underwater with 1 year left. It's 1 plus a team option. I would guess that deal is like 5 or 6 underwater. I would say that it's like maybe like a first and a swap between the 2 players here that they're moving in terms of like underwater value. And then you're trading Bane for 3 first round picks. Honestly, again, like we talked about this when Mikal Bridges got traded last year. This is just kind of the price tag for a guy like this. And I get it that people think this is an overpay, and I've seen people online. I looked at Twitter and made a mistake. I've seen people online going like, oh, the price tag for Kevin Durant just raised. Oh, the price tag for X guy just raised. I think the thing that we're learning over the course of the last, 2 years, maybe even the last 12 months, basically, is that players who are elite off of the ball and produce while also being good defensively and are like stars in their role, let's call it, right? Those guys get more than the borderline stars. like the board, like the on ball players who probably aren't quite good enough on the ball to be like real difference makers, right? Like Brandon Ingram has 1 year left, obviously, but he gets like a first in like salary matching, right? I think what we're learning here is that NBA teams are adjusting to what's valuable now.
Wouldn't you also say in the Bane and Bridges context, those were teams who thought this was their final piece to a title contending puzzle?
I would agree with that. Yeah. I mean, maybe not final in the McHale
But-
situation, just because they traded for
Oh, that Cat
Carl
came after. That's true. Okay.
Yeah. So I would say Orlando is making the bet that Bane is kind of their guy and is going to be the guy that like really helps them go over the top.
I think another thing we've learned is like the NBA is a business. And just like in business, the value of a product or a player in the case of the NBA lies in what somebody will pay for it, or in this case,
Yes.
trade for it. And ultimately, I know we do this, and I hope that people realize whenever we compare contract values and trade things, we're just giving a comparison, especially when we're doing predictive things of like, hey, this is what so-and-so went for. Maybe this would be a value, a range, whatever. But again, Desmond Bane in a world where Memphis isn't shopping him is going to cost you more than in a world where Memphis has decided, hey, we're breaking this whole thing down. We're trading off everything. And maybe, they trade him for a little bit less. If Orlando called up Zach Kleiman and said, name your price, that's going to be different, right? Or if there was another team involved, that raises. So this is business, right? In its simplest form. Like, I'm not an economist. I have no clue how all of this works, but I understand that value is determined by what somebody will pay you for what you have, your service, your product, or whatever, right? And so we have to keep that in mind, that what Desmond Bane was worth to the Orlando Magic could be right, could be wrong, right? It very much could end up being wrong, but that's what his value was in this situation. That doesn't mean that a player better than Bane is automatically going to get the same return or more.
Yeah, like Kevin Durant is going to get half as much of this deal, and people are going to melt down. Like the value that Kevin Durant gets traded for is going to be half as much as what Desmond Bane got traded for. And they're going to be like, oh my God, Kevin Durant, how did this happen? X, Y, and Z, right? And the reality is that Desmond Bane is on like a fairly decent deal, I would argue. It's not like an amazing deal. He has 23% of the salary cap basically owed to him over the next 3 or 4 years, right? He has 4 years left on the deal. Next year is 24% of the cap. And then the next 3 years are basically somewhere between 22 and 23% of the projected cap, right? We do have to talk about this a little bit from just like the team building perspective too. What this says to me about Orlando is they think that they are like done. Like they think this is their team.
It has to be, right? We talked about their money situation, Sam, and it just got more locked in.
So I like this. I like the fit of Desmond Bane here. I do worry a little bit, just a little bit, right? I don't want to like concern troll or whatever the fuck that thing is, but like the thing that worries me if I'm Orlando just a little bit here is you're just completely limiting your flexibility. Now, what I will say is that this deal does not like completely demolish their asset cache. They have a lot of young players still on the roster. They have Tristan da Silva, who played a lot of minutes this year as a rookie. They have Goga Batadze, who I think is probably one of the 30 best centers in the league and is their backup center. They have Anthony Black, who up and down so far, I would argue, but definitely at least like an NBA player at 22 years old. They also have Jalen Suggs, who is young and is improving and is on a descending contract. That contract, by the way, gets more valuable for them every single day that it has occurred. Because paying him the most that they can pay him this year and then have that go down to $26.7 million in 2029-30, when that's going to be 12% of the salary cap, is bonkers. That's genuinely really, really bonkers. But they do have young players that could be of value to other teams here. So I wouldn't go as far as to say that they are done. They can move on. They can do whatever they need to do. I would argue they've made their big swing for the offseason. They literally don't have other assets to be able to go out and do anything else. But it wouldn't stun me if we looked up and saw Goga and Tristan Da Silva for something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or, Wendell Carter Jr. for a couple of a first round pick and a young player or something, right? Like these things wouldn't surprise me all that much if we saw them like try to rebuild this asset cache a little bit by making moves along the fringes of their roster a little bit now.
The other thing is they do have another first round pick this year. Like obviously it's not as good as what they traded away at 16, but they have 25, which is either another young player they can add or whatever. And then they will have their 2027 also. It looks, why don't they have their 2026? Where did that get moved? Fanspo's not showing a 2026 first for them, but it's not like the first round pick stuff is completely gone either. Like there's a little bit left there to either draft players or whatever they need to do, including this season. So like you said, it does seem like it's pretty locked in, but they do, like you said, they have some young players. Some of those are interesting, some not as much. And you meant like the center room, you just went through it. They do have some flexibility, even though like just this core group of 4 players is going to be very, very expensive. When you look at Franz, Paolo gets his extension, Bane and Suggs.
Yep. So Orlando still owns the 25th overall pick this year. They still own their 2026 first, I believe.
Oh, so that's what I thought they had their 2026 too. It's not showing up on Fanspo, but okay.
Real GM has them having their 2026 first.
Yeah.
They also have their 2027 first.
That's what I was gonna say. So yeah, they're still gonna have 3 straight first round picks still.
If they want to move the 2026 first, they can still do so. They have more flexibility here than what I think meets the eye. Like if they wanted to go out and trade number 25 in their 2026 first round pick, I believe that they can do that off the top of my head. It would have to be after the 2025 draft this cycle, but yeah, regardless, I think this deal makes more sense for Orlando than what other people think. I'm still not crazy about the price tag that's paid here. I think it's a lot. I do. I love Desmond Bane as a player. It's just an aggressive amount. It's an aggressive amount to pay for him. The way that this works out for Orlando is if they make the conference finals, right? That's basically what they have to do. Now, if I'm Orlando and I'm in the Eastern Conference and I see where the Eastern Conference is going right now, where Boston is probably not in the picture next year. Milwaukee is probably not in the picture next year. It's probably New York, Cleveland, them, and who's the 4th team I'm missing here?
Who'd you say? Them, Cleveland,
New York, Cleveland,
Indiana.
and Indiana. God, the team in the finals. Why is my brain breaking? It's probably one of those 4 next year right now. And this deal puts them in a real class to be able to contend and compete, I think, at that level. So yeah. I don't mind this deal as much as other people do. It's just, it limits their flexibility a bit here moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think where we're getting to is we love the fit. We love the idea. It's a lot. They paid a lot. It's one of those moves where you just flat out better be right. Like you better get it right. If it doesn't work, or I mean, ultimately Paolo has to be the all NBA player. But I don't know. Like if I'm Orlando, why do I not believe that? You know what I mean? Like, why do I not believe that Paolo is going to be an all NBA player when healthy? And again, I mentioned it either on our last live or it may have been one of the offseason previews. Look at his playoff numbers. Like, they're silly what he's done in the playoff games he's been at in his young NBA career. So,
Yeah.
And here, you know what else this does? It takes a little bit of pressure off Franz. And I'm not saying Franz wasn't going to be capable of that role, but it sure makes his life a little bit easier to play even more off the ball, which he's elite at as a cutter off the ball, be even better on the defensive end, like all of those things. It takes pressure off of Jalen Suggs as well, right? Like, I think it makes, this is why we like the fit, because it makes everybody better. But when you pay this price tag for it, you better be right, and you better get to where you need to get to, or else in hindsight, it's going to look rough, especially if that 2026 first ends up being a top 5 pick or something like that in that draft class.
Just real quick, speaking of that 2026 first, I looked at Pro Sports Transactions to kind of understand a little bit more about what that is. Orlando doesn't have a 2026 first rounder to trade.
Okay.
That's 100% right. Yeah. They cannot, they have no 2026 first.
So
what I said a second ago was wrong.
So
Yeah,
does
that
it say
is a swap.
how they moved it?
They moved it in this deal. What do you mean?
No, how did or
Because they have 25 this year, so they are able to achieve the Stepien rule.
what's the 2026 though?
The 2026 is their own first
Oh,
round pick,
it's but it's
that has
swaps.
rights.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yes.
Got it.
Okay.
Got it.
So let's go to Memphis real quick. I've seen some people questioning if this means Memphis is going to like tear down the core. I do not think that they're going to tear down the core, to be honest with you. I think that they're probably looking at this as that they now have all of their own picks, outside of this year's. And then additionally, they have 4 first-round picks now from Orlando to be able to do kind of what they want to do. Like, if they want to get involved in just about any star trade, they have the asset capital to do so. And just to be real with it, right? Like, let's talk for a second here. This team needed a change up.
Sure.
To me, given that you're very likely to give Jaren Jackson this massive extension here, you're probably going to renegotiate and extend him this summer. And we'll talk about how this trade impacts that. I think that you probably had to move one of Desmond or Ja. At the end of the day, you probably had to, because this thing just felt stale on some level. It did. It felt like it wasn't going anywhere quickly. So if you're able to move Bane, who I would guess right now, given that Ja has been in and out of the lineup and has had his own issues, given that Jaren only has 1 year left on his deal, I would argue that Bane probably had the most trade value of the 3, while being, all due respect to Desmond Bane, a player that I genuinely love, the 3rd best player when he's like all 3 are on the court of the 3. It does make sense to cash in on Bane if you're them.
Yeah, I mean, my thing with Memphis still is just like, is Ja going to be the guy, right? Like, and this doesn't change that. But I guess to your point, maybe it gives you the assets to go out and get a different guy, like the guy to pair with Jaren. I saw somebody tweet, I'd be interested in your thoughts on this, in that, I mean, Orlando is completely bucking this, I guess I feel like, and Oklahoma City is going to have to eventually. Do you think any of this was Memphis going also like, you just can't pay three dudes in the NBA in this era of the NBA, and we're about to pay Jaren, so we need to get off Bane? And like, is this where teams are going to go in general, where we're just going to pay 2 guys? We feel like all we can do is max out 2 guys and then build out our roster around it. Is you think maybe they're looking at that as the path in today's game with the new CBA, second apron, all of that?
I would guess that they think that you probably do have to pay a 3rd guy. Like, I can't imagine that they think that Ja and Jaren by themselves are enough to do this.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I just wonder if they think that they needed the upgrade on Desmond Bane. And they needed to go find a different third guy. They needed that guy to be better. And if you can cash in on Bane to a team that like desperately values Bane in Orlando, where he's the perfect fit for everything that they have, it probably makes sense to get the 4 firsts, because to a team that's trading a star, the 4 firsts are probably more valuable to that team than Bane is to that team, because that team that's trading a star is probably rebuilding in some respect.
So if you take these assets and flip them for Trey Murphy, like we both think that that's pretty interesting process then.
Yeah, I do. I mean, Desmond, yeah, I do. I would argue that. Yeah. I think Trey has a little bit more upside than Desmond. Yeah.
But Bane has done it more consistently. No question. But it's a different, it'd give you something a little different. Not a lot, but obviously different body types.
Yeah, look, I just, again, Desmond Bane was not in the trade rumors, so you never know. Maybe the new front office in New Orleans is looking more at moving Trey Murphy than what is readily apparent. But I just haven't seen much that makes me believe they're moving Trey Murphy at this point. So it makes me hard to believe that. The guy that I'm wondering here about is very obvious.
Yeah, I just was trying to avoid that one because, like,
I think they're trying to get in on Giannis. This is it. They're trying to get in on Giannis.
How do they get to the money though?
They'll figure it out. Like, it's fine. They'll figure it out, right? I'll have to look at it honestly, but.
Because I tried to do this for KD earlier, Sam. Even whenever I was just thinking KD, and if you're not going to put Jaren or Ja in the deal,
I mean, you get there with like KCP and Cole Anthony, right?
That's 35.
Yeah, and it's KCP, Cole Anthony, and Brandon Clark probably gets you there.
47.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Like the money is doable. I'm guessing they'd have to move Edie in that deal too, honestly. Like, I would think that Milwaukee's going to want like a good young player, so you probably do have to move Edie in a Giannis deal. But I think this is very odd. Like, I think that they're setting themselves up for a potential Giannis swing is what this looks like to me. Or maybe you try to go to Phoenix and say, hey, we have your pick. Like, so that you do Devin Booker, like. Because think about Giannis. They have Jaren Jackson, who's the perfect big to play with Giannis, is why I say Giannis.
Sure. Yeah. Ja and Giannis? Any concerns?
Look, I don't love Ja as a player. So, like, sure. I mean, look, I do love Ja as a player. I shouldn't say I love him as a player. I love watching Ja Morant play basketball. I don't know how effective it is at the highest levels of like the playoffs, but we just saw him in, game 3 against Oklahoma City, just obliterate them up until he got hurt. So like, who knows? But yeah, I mean, I don't like, I'm fine with that. Maybe you move Ja for Giannis. Like maybe it's Ja and picks for Giannis or something, right?
You pair Giannis and Jaren.
That's a pretty fun pairing, isn't it? That's a good way to start.
No, it's not bad depending on how else what you could build around. I mean, I would want Desmond Bane on my team in that scenario is the problem, but my mind went to where your mind is at as well. It did not go to blow it up. It went to, we couldn't turn this down. To your point, maybe this has gotten a little bit stale. This is a ridiculous haul. We can take these and go get player X, whether it's super swing for Giannis, short-term swing for Kevin Durant, or Trey Murphy-esque player that shakes loose that's actually available if Trey Murphy isn't. Like, I use Trey Murphy's name because, one, I love his game, and like it's the easiest name to throw out. But if he's not available, that version of player on the wing that is out there somewhere.
Yeah, like to me, you don't need to be specific.
Sure.
in like the exact player you're targeting, because you have all of this pick capital now, and they've done well in the draft is the other thing too. So like if you're them, you feel like, okay, we're probably going to draft good players that will actually hold their value, unlike some other teams that do this, right? Like Utah, for instance, I think is a prime example of guys unfortunately not holding their value once being drafted. Memphis tends to like hit in the draft. That's just the reality of what they've done. Like, look, they've missed on David Roddy, occasionally, right? But you look at their recent draft picks, they tend to do well. So
the other thing is they have like rotation level players on silly deals because they not just draft, but they Jay Huff, Scottie Pippen Jr. I mean, obviously they did draft Jalen Wells, but you know what I mean? Like they've hit on these. We always talk about winning along the margins. Those guys are all $2 million, $2.5 million for 3 years. So this is a team that can absorb this type of Giannis level move. And it's like, well, how are they going to build out there's 3 backup players, I mean, Jalen Wells may be a starter, but like there's a backup point guard and a backup center that's not even $5 million next year. Like that's why they can get away with it.
Yep. No, I think that's right. That's what this is setting up to me, though. I don't think they're blowing this thing up by any stretch. The thing that this does impact weirdly, KCP and Cole Anthony, I believe, combined to make like a little bit more money than what Bane did. Bane was scheduled to, if I remember correctly. It could be just like very, very slightly more. I think that they have like a little bit less money now to spend on a renegotiation and extension with Jaren. So they're going to have to make like another move here.
We
like
talked about
yeah, go ahead.
We talked about that anyway, though, right? To like really do the big thing. We talked about them, like, what was it? Getting off of Kennard, right? Like just getting off the cap hold for Kennard. Wasn't that it? And then they could do it and they could keep the restricted free agency on Santi because his cap hold is fairly, low enough. It just changes it a little bit, right? Like because of it didn't make sense initially, but because of the draft pick, they actually take in $2 extra million. Like it cuts into their cap space a touch. But to really do the Jaren extension, they were going to have to do something else anyway. They weren't adding 4, only adding 4 or only adding 7 was never going to do. I mean, I guess it could have, but that wasn't really the idea that we had.
Yeah. So like my guess here on what they do, this is a total guess, is that they probably try to move Concher or Cole Anthony into like a trade exception somewhere.
Yeah. Okay.
Like either via trading down in the draft or, spending asset capital to do so, like something like that. I would guess that they probably try to do that in order to open their space, would be my guess. That would be my read.
Yep.
So I think that they've dropped down from like, I think it's like 7.5 million is what they projected to have to be able to use to renegotiate Jaren up to like, what is it now? It's like 4.9.
I was gonna say I thought Keith Smith's tweet was 4.9.
It's 4.9. Yeah, I just like kind of did the math. Like it's like 5, 4.9, 4.8. So I'm like doing math in my head kind of while doing this. So yeah, it's that ballpark. You know what I mean? Like if you're so this is a good one. If you're the Nets and you want to get up to 16, would you do 19 for 16 and take John Concher into like a trade exception or into your cap space?
You see, Nets taking in Concher to move up in the draft. So wait, that would go where? 19 to move up 3 spots.
So Memphis would drop to 19.
Sure.
The Grizzlies, or the Grizzlies drop to 19. Nets up to 16. They take on Concher, like something like that. I'm not saying that exactly. I'm just saying something in that ballpark.
Sure,
makes a lot of sense here, right?
Yep.
So that kind of is where we're settling here. I think that it's a good deal. I think it's just a win-win across the board is where I'm at on it. Like, I understand anybody that says that this is a rough deal for either team, that they think that this is kind of breaking up a Memphis team that is now kind of nowhere. In roster wise, like I wouldn't disagree. They are kind of nowhere. But I do think that it's at least interesting to me, I guess, is what I would say. It's at least interesting to me that the Grizzlies are trying to like find different answers here for a team that had just, it felt stale. Honestly, It did. Over the last couple of years, like they got super injured and it just didn't have the same juice this year.
Yeah.
So what do? You have to figure out a way to adjust. You have to figure out a way to make moves on the fly. I think it's a win-win. Obviously for Orlando, it's a huge price to pay, but it's the exact player that they needed. And you get off the Caldwell Pope deal. I think this is fine. I think this is totally a reasonable price point for everybody. It's probably more than I would want to pay, but it's not like like we should be disrespectful to Desmond Bane as we go through this kind of deal.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's kind of where I landed on it as well. And again, ultimately, I told you before we recorded, if this truly catapults Orlando into contention, none of us are going to care that we thought maybe it was an extra first rounder too much or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the price of when you become one of these teams, right? Like eventually you have to make the move or you get stale, right? And so I have a hard time blaming a team for making an all-in move when I think they're probably about ready for that. Like whenever I think their young core that they drafted and put together is probably ready to start competing at that level, especially in the East.
Yeah. No, I think that's right. Okay. Before we get to the mock draft, we got to shout out our friends over at PrizePicks. PrizePicks. It's the best place to get real money sports action. Do you know ball? There's only one series left in the playoffs. We're midway through and the championship is officially on the line. That means time is running out for you to put your final takes to the test on PrizePicks. This year's basketball playoffs are headed toward crowning a first-time champ. PrizePicks is the best place to cash in while watching those games. Join millions of users and sign up today. On PrizePicks, you can mix and match player projections from different sports. You can combine your favorite basketball players with players from baseball, hockey, esports, and so much more. Every Tuesday, PrizePicks is going to discount several projections on the board, usually by 15 to 25%. Fridays are Flex Friday. Make sure you opt in and tap the checkbox in your lineup builder to be eligible for the protected play. Choose squares from any game on the board. If your lineup does not win, you get your net losses back in promo funds up to your promo limit as soon as the lineup settles. For Game 5, I loved the way that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jalen Williams interacted on the court together. I loved the way that we saw more Shai screening actions for J-Dub. We talked a lot about J-Dub being on the ball more consistently in Game 4. We're going to go Shai Gilgeous-Alexander over 46.5 points, rebounds, and assists. So he's going to score. He's going to score a ton of points. I don't know how many assists he's going to get, but I think he will get, 7 or 8 rebounds. Maybe he gets like 2 or 3 assists and gets us over the line.
I was going to say, can't imagine he's coming off a 0 assist game, right? So maybe there's a little bit of an emphasis to distribute, and we get maybe like a 5 assist game from Shai in Game 5.
But I think we do get more J-Dub on the ball in Game 5. So we're going to take over 4.5 free throws made from J-Dub. And then we're just going to ride TJ McConnell. Shout out Pittsburgh. Shout out the icon. Shout out the legend. Duquesne legend. Where'd he go? Chartiers Valley, maybe? Can't remember. TJ McConnell, an icon. We're going over 4.5 points for TJ McConnell.
TJ McConnell, playing hard is a skill. Watched a video today with him talking about it. Couldn't agree more. If it wasn't a skill, everybody would do it.
TJ McConnell is absolutely a skill. And yes, I got the high school right. TJ McConnell, shout out Chartiers Valley. He was like a sophomore when I was a senior.
I say that's nice. It's not like you went to Mount Verde or Oak Hill or Wasatch or something like that. You're just like pulling out random high schools in Pennsylvania. Let's go.
I'm from Pittsburgh. Like he's like 2 years younger than me.
It's why I know Ron Baker went to Scott City High School in Southwest Kansas that nobody's ever been to. So I get it.
That's right. Download the app today and use the code Game Theory to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today and use the code Game Theory to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Okay, Bryce, we have to do a mock draft here.
Oh, this is scary hours when we start the mock at 45 minutes.
We're not gonna. I will not let this go past. I'm not putting a time on it, but we're not gonna go nuts here.
Famous last words.
I know better than to put a timer on this stuff at this point. Okay, so the way we're doing this is what we would do.
Yep.
It is a what we would do mock draft, not what we think is going to happen. We will do that starting next week. At the beginning of next week, we will have a mock draft. But this is a what we would do mock. And we'll talk through like why we think these things make sense. But yes, it's a what we would do mock draft. There will be trades. We will run through things. I'm going to go first. You're going to go second.
Okay.
Okay. Shout out to the folks over at Fanspo. They do a great job here of creating this mock draft tool that is really, really easy and fun to use. Okay. So the easiest way for us to get through this a little bit quickly is to just kind of run through the top two picks like quickly.
Sure.
Right.
Yep.
So Cooper Flagg, number 1 to the Dallas Mavericks. This is a fit because he's the best player on the board, point blank. Cooper Flagg is the best player in the draft. He is my second best player of the last decade in terms of prospect value behind Victor Wembanyama. He's just very safe, great defender, highly competitive, doesn't have an injury history, historic freshman season at Duke. We've talked about Cooper Flagg for months upon months upon months upon months.
Yep.
There you go.
Ditto. Exclamation point. Yes.
Okay. Number 2, Dylan Harper.
Dylan Harper. And all I'll say is, like, I mean, we wax poetically about him on a offseason preview that's coming up for the San Antonio Spurs. And, you know, like, whether the Spurs make this pick, whether they're making this pick for somebody else, whatever, like, Dylan Harper would be the number 2 pick for me, no matter what. For us, no matter what. Whether it's San Antonio or they're trading the pick, whatever, Dylan Harper, second best player in this class.
The only thing I will ask you is, apparently Kevin O'Connor on his show brought up the idea of trading back from 2 to 5 with Utah to get Lauri Markkanen in order for the Spurs to draft Khan, the Jazz to get their guard of the future in Dylan Harper. I'm going to be honest. I do wonder if one player that the trade today helped was Lauri Markkanen's value. I don't think that moving back 3 spots or moving up 3 spots, I'm sorry, even to get Dylan Harper is probably the value for Lauri at this point. I think it might be a little bit more than that.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, though. I mean, because Lauri would make sense there in San Antonio, and especially like if you're only moving back 3. But yeah, it seemed like there'd have to be something else in that, right? Like I realize you're giving up Dylan Harper, but maybe not. I don't know. That's a big contract.
And someone asked, does Jared McCain in number 3 for number 2 make sense for the Spurs? I would just rather have Dylan Harper personally.
Yeah, I understand Evo, like, or Sivo, what? Sorry. Like the
Shavo.
idea, huh?
Shavo.
Oh, shit. I was close. Sorry.
I'm guessing, honestly, just by the accent on the bottom there.
I mean, the thing, it's not worse. It's not worse than Herb. I understand. I understand the idea there, but the talent of Harper is too much for that for me.
Agree. Okay. So number 3, I'm up now with the Philadelphia 76ers. I've talked the entire time about trading down if I'm the Sixers. I would like to trade down. So the way that Bryce and I are going to do this is anytime one of us want to trade down, we're going to negotiate against one another in a deal, right?
Okay.
So if I am Philly, I would like to trade down. Let's see here. Number 7. Can I do Herb Jones in number 7 for number 3?
No.
Is that something you will do as the Pelicans? No. Okay, great.
I mean, for me, no, right? Like it sounds like their organization might be more open to that, but for me, I'm good.
Okay. What about Brooklyn if I move down to 8?
Yep. Let's talk.
So Brooklyn just has a significant number of draft picks that could like be genuinely really valuable, right? So can I do 8, 19, and then can I also get, what is their, let's see. They probably won't move their 2026 first. Can I get my 2027 first back? Because they have the 76ers 2027 first. And can I get the Knicks 2027 first?
No.
So basically 4 picks.
No.
Can I get my own 2027 first back, 8 and 19?
I really want to short Philly, with all due respect to Philly.
Sure. Is there a pick that you see is valuable here that you're willing to do here in order to move up from 8 to 3? Because I don't think 3 and 19 is enough, or I don't think 8 and 19 is enough.
See, so I think I agree with that. And the problem is, like, I want to give you seconds, and you're not. You're not taking seconds. So now I need to pinpoint like my least favorite first round pick, like the first round pick I'm like going to be comfortable with. So what year is the Knicks?
2027. That's the close. Like they will still have Brunson, then they'll still be good. Like,
screw it. Let's just do it because I want to make a trade here. I think it'll be fun. Like I don't. In general, you think this is the value?
I think it's 3, and then I'm also going to ask you to take the Drummond deal.
How much is that? 6?
$5 million.
Yeah, I'm okay with. I have enough cap space
to where you're able to take on 5. Like it's just it's not it doesn't hinder anybody that much. So, okay, full details. 76ers trade number 3 to Brooklyn. Number 3 and Andre Drummond to Brooklyn for number 8, number 19, and 2027 New York Knicks first, which is unprotected. I think that's a fair deal.
So I'm okay. I'm very comfortable consolidating first round picks this year with Brooklyn. I hate giving up future draft capital if I'm Brooklyn. Like
the reason I think this is okay is because they have the 76ers pick and I think they have a Rockets pick that year too.
Yeah.
Like they have a lot of stuff here.
Yeah.
Like 2027 is the year where they have another like crazy draft haul.
Sure. It's more so who I'm going to end up taking that I don't know that I feel like is super worth it. But, and I know we're doing what we would do still, but let's do it. I'm okay with it. Let's do it.
Okay. So basically number 3 for number 8, number 19, a New York unprotected.
Or I guess you're making this pick. I'm not even making this pick. So whatever, but yes.
Honestly, I'll let you make the pick, and then I'll make the pick at 8, just because you made the deal.
No, that's going to get confusing. You pick.
Okay. So I think that if you're moving up for one of Ace or VJ Edgecombe.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take VJ here. I think VJ would be the most likely person you're moving up for if you're moving up.
So this is why I wouldn't do this if I was Brooklyn. I'm not down on this tier of players. I think they're going to be good players. I think I've soured on the ceiling of the players that I have in this tier, where moving up like this is something I would really like. Yeah. I probably would have went ahead and taken Ace just because I do think that like there's a chance. I think I've come down a little bit.
Do you want to do Ace instead?
No,
doing Ace.
No, this is fun. I love it. Let's stay with VJ. Let's do it. Because actually, if you would have given me 3 and I was going to stay with the Sixers, I think I was going to see if we could talk ourselves into VJ for Philly. Like, is there a way that works on that roster? So I'm cool with this. Let's do it.
Okay. Number 4, the Charlotte Hornets.
This sucks.
Yeah, now this is also why, to me, as we've talked about for a while with Charlotte, there's actually real value in them moving up to number 3.
Okay, so can I play as Charlotte now and come back with an offer? No, to Philly. What did we do on the offseason preview for that? We made a deal where essentially, I can't remember what they did. We made an offer there. Somehow I think we took on the bad contracts or did something, and but
to be clear, this scenario right here is why I still think the most likely thing that happens on draft night in terms of a trade. If you made me predict one trade that happens, and this comes from no intel, to be clear, this is just completely logic based. I think the most likely deal is Charlotte moving up from number 4 to number 3 to take VJ.
Okay. Would you trade if you are Washington?
Okay.
Would you be interested in trading up to 4 with me?
Okay, let's hear it out.
So Washington's moving. What else does Washington have here?
Washington has 6, 18, 40. They have players like, do you think that Corey Kispert is valuable here? Like, what are you?
Would you give me 16 in Kispert, and then we'll figure out the money?
I'm sorry. Say that again. So they have 18.
Or sorry, 18. Sorry, yeah, wrong number. 18.
So you want to keep 6?
Yeah, I'm going back 2. You're coming up to get somebody.
No, I'm not doing that.
Okay, will you give me
Kispert and 18 for 4 is a no-go for me.
Will you give me I'm trying to decide if I want Kispert or 16. Do both of those get done?
Would I do? You're asking would I do 6? Would I do 6 and 18 for 4?
Yes.
You're asking.
Yeah. Would you do 6
personally?
Would you do 6 in Kispert for 4?
So the way that I would do 6 in Kispert for 4.
And then what do we have to do to make the money work, though?
Do they have a trade exception? It would make life actually, the Hornets don't have a trade exception, so that does make life a little bit harder.
Can they take him into the? Can you use the non-tax as a trade exception in the offseason, or is that just in the regular season?
No, I think you can, but I would bet that they would want to do that.
Yeah.
You can just do a Koji for Kispert, and that works.
Okay.
The Wizards take back a Koji.
Okay.
I will do this. So full details. Hornets trade number 4 and Josh Okogie to Wizards for number 6 and Corey Kispert. That's where you're at?
Sure.
Okay. So the Hornets trade down. How did I screw this up? Oh, okay, great. So Washington needs this pick somehow. This pick is going to Washington. We're just going to say that. We're not going to make this overly complicated.
Okay. So I will take Ace Bailey here for the Wizards.
Okay. So You're taking ace for the Wizards. I know it's a Charlotte on the screen if you're watching, but you're taking ace for the Wizards here.
Yeah. So my idea here is, and I've heard this from Wizards fans about like taking an upside swing and, all of that and ceiling stuff. Like you don't lose all these games to draft, somebody with a lower ceiling, whatever. So go up and get this, wing scorer, really good shooter at the very least, maybe ends up being more than that if you believe in that. So I actually don't, I saw this report the other day about Kispert being available. I actually don't love that in general for Washington. Just my philosophy on young rebuilding teams, having players like that are valuable. But in this situation to get Ace Bailey, I'll take my chance on it.
Sure. Okay. So I'm up now at number 5. And to be clear, again, this is what we would do. This is not what the Utah Jazz will do. I am just very obviously taking Khan here.
Okay.
Khan is my guy. I think people know that. Khan is a super well-rounded, complete player. I think the Jazz just need good players on some level. Like they need a guy who's definitely going to hit. I think Khan is like a definite starter. He's a tough defender. He's physical. He's strong. He's a real ball handler. He is an elite shooter, like genuinely elite shooter. Shot 48, 41, 91 this year as a freshman. You go and you watch the games where he went and played as the primary when Cooper was out in the ACC tournament. He was a stud there. He was an absolute stud there. I also wonder if the Desmond Bane deal makes people go, oh, wait, maybe Cooper Flagg is, or maybe Con Knipple is really, really valuable, right? Very similar like style of player. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm going Con Knipple here at number 5 for the Jazz.
So I'll be honest, I was really hoping you weren't going to do this. My idea with Charlotte was I'll pass on essentially Ace, hoping you would take Trey at 5 for the Jazz, and I would still get Con at 6. So when Hornets fans yell at me, I understand. I didn't play the board correctly. My intel was wrong, and now I'm in another situation I don't necessarily love.
Okay. Con Knipple at 5. The Charlotte Hornets at 6.
I feel like I have to take Trey. I don't love that fit.
Look, defensively, it's not a great fit, but I think it's a really fun offensive fit.
I say just offensively. So I'm going to take Trey because at the end of the day, I have tiers and I want to stay with my tiers. He does slot in positionally. I think that will be okay. I think this could then change I wonder what this would do to the Trey Mann, off-season conversation that we had, especially if
I think.
And so maybe just like you have the second unit of him and Kispert and, rock with that. Josh Green. I'll take Trey though. I'll just go ahead and take Trey. I think the talent is too good. I think the scoring, the shot making is too good. And we'll figure it out. So Charlotte fans, don't be mad at me. This didn't play out the way I thought it was going to. I apologize.
Yeah, I still think you got a guy that's really good, and you got real value because you now have Kispert and Trey. You have real shooters on your roster to surround LaMelo and Brandon Miller. Like the big thing that you need from Brandon Miller is to be able to actually see him get to the basket at some point.
Yeah,
and we just haven't seen that yet at this point.
Yeah, I mean, this was a team that was 28th in the NBA in 3-point percentage last season. So adding Trey Johnson to that and adding Corey Kispert to that, I feel like, maybe not the worst thing in the world. So I feel okay with it. And Washington went up and got the upside swing.
Okay, number 7 here. This is now a fairly difficult pick. I think I honestly might try to trade down again because I am not a fears guy. I think Yakashonis is a real.
I say Kasparis is okay here, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Let's talk through a little bit. Who do we think might want to trade up here?
Yeah, I think that it's like any team that would really want.
Okay, so I say it's probably easier to say the player.
Malawatch.
So that was my instinct as well. And at this point, if a team is trading up, to me the player would be common. So is it Atlanta that doesn't think that Philly will trade back again and they think Toronto might take him, so they need to move here? Or Chicago with that same
Atlanta
process?
or Chicago, yeah.
And the thought is that you try to do business with the Sixers at 8, trying to jump the Raptors because you're nervous the Raptors might take him. And let's just say Philly's staying put at 8, like you're not getting anywhere there, so you're going to jump all the way to 7 to make sure you land him.
Okay, so let's talk through Atlanta here.
Okay.
You're jumping 6 spots. It's not quite like the high end of the draft, right?
Well, so like to be very clear, I think both of us have this same tier break. So you're in the same tier with 13 and 7 for, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Okay. Is it just 7 for 13 and 22? I might want a little bit more than that, honestly.
So I'm the Hawks. So
You're the Hawks.
I'm willing to give that up.
Yeah,
sure.
I think I want more. What do they have in terms of seconds? I definitely want seconds here. Let's take a look. They have in round 2. Let's see here. They have got, man, it might be a little dire here with the Hawks in terms of seconds. I want 17 and 20, or I want number 13 or number 7 for number 13, number 22, and then both of your 2030 and 2031 seconds. Are you willing to do that? Bryce, are you willing to do that?
I'm thinking, give me 1 second. Only 1 second, because I can draft a big at 22. If you don't want to do business here, right? Like I can get a big at 22.
You think the Hawks can get a big at 22? Yeah. Is your idea?
Yeah. I think I have a little bit of leverage because even though I want common,
yeah, you're not getting anything resembling common at 22, I don't think. And I'm not even like the highest on common.
You're not getting but I can get a big.
Yeah, you're getting Ryan Kalkbrenner at 22.
Sure. I'll live with that.
Okay, so you're not doing 13 and 22 for 7. You're not doing it.
I'll give you a single second.
I will do a single second. That's fine.
Perfect. Love it.
Okay. 2030 second round pick. Okay.
This is fun because I find myself oscillating between what I would do and what I think. Like I'm struggling to like just stay in place with what I would want to do.
Yep. So Common Malawatch here at number 7 for Atlanta. Just a perfect fit for them. The ability to be like a lob threat for Trae Young, the ability to hopefully anchor the defense like in a real way. He's just a genuine perfect player here for them, I think.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay. Number 8, the Philadelphia 76ers.
Okay. I don't think there's another. Yeah. I don't think there's another player that like people are moving up for. Would you agree?
I think, look, I don't think either of us are moving up for Fears, but I think people would want to move up for Fears.
Okay. Yeah. My immediate thought is Carter Bryant here. And I like Carter Bryant here. Is this too early?
It's one of Carter Bryant, Kasparis, or Colin Murray Boyles.
So Murray Boyles was the other one that I was kind of interested in as well. I've had people like kind of call out the Philly, like not necessarily high feel players. So adding Murray Boyles to that would be kind of interesting. They could use the big, I guess. And if they're willing to play small with him, okay. Interesting.
It's interesting. It's a really good one here now, right?
Yeah. Because, and then I'm like, okay, what do we think? Yabusele stays? Do you think they get him back?
Possibly.
Let's go Murray Boyles because that's a little different. That's something we haven't done. Let's go Colin Murray Boyles and let's add some defense to them.
I actually really like this fit at number 8 for them. I think this is like the perfect spot for him.
And the other thing I'll say here is I don't think he gets enough like ceiling talk when people want to talk about ceiling, because if Colin Murray Boyles shoots it, like if the touch is real and he's able to develop a jumper, and I'm not saying he will, but if he does, that becomes a real offensive threat, as you know, also along with what he's going to be defensively anyway. So I think they get a little bit of both, like at least a very good defender to add to the mix, and then a little bit of upside post Embiid, Paul George. So yeah, I like this.
Yeah. So essentially this is Colin Murray Boyles, number 19 and a future first now for number 3. I think this is fine.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. I'm up at number 9 for the Toronto Raptors. I am going to take Kasparis here.
Okay.
I think. Let me think through this a little bit more.
Okay.
So Kasparis and Carter Bryant are the two guys I'm looking at here, just to kind of talk through it a little bit. I'm definitely keeping this pick if I'm Toronto, unless I'm like moving it for a star and like consolidating talent. The things that are interesting here is that I think that Toronto could use like another big wing defender, frankly. Brandon Ingram, not amazing on that end necessarily. Scotty Barnes is a good defender. RJ Barrett fluctuates. Like he's a good on-ball defender. He's not a very attentive off-ball defender. Obviously, you have Shed in the backcourt. You have John Mobo, who I think you're probably hoping for to be like a 4-5 hybrid defender, but Carter Bryant's like a little bit different than these guys and can really shoot it. But on the other hand, you have Emmanuel Quickly, who's like a scorer. And then the guys you've drafted recently, like Grady Dick and Jacoby Walter, are more scorers, you know, off-ball scorers. Derek Queen's another option here. I really like Derek Queen for them.
Huh. Okay.
Just dribble, pass, shoot. Like the whole thing that Darko Rajakovic talks about is wanting 5 guys on the court at all times who can dribble, pass, shoot. Right. I am going to go Kasparis here.
Okay.
Part of the reason I'm going Kasparis is that I think Quickly is a fine passer. I don't think he's a great passer. I do think Scotty's a real passer, but I don't know that anybody else on this roster really is all that effective as like an overall feel for the game playmaker. And I want somebody else who's like a really, really sharp playmaker, I think is where I'm at.
Cool. I like it.
Okay. I'm going Kasparis at 9.
Yep.
Number 10, the Houston Rockets.
Okay. So I know who I'd take if I'm going to keep it, I think.
Yeah.
And is there a name, like anybody trading up? Like, do we want to get into the fears thing yet? I don't think either of us, our hearts are going to be in that conversation. Do we just take Carter Bryant and move on?
Honestly, Carter Bryant is a pretty good pick for them, I think.
Yeah, I like
Makes
it.
a lot of sense.
I think
ticks all their boxes that they look for typically.
And I think what Carter Bryant does, like you essentially can't draft anywhere that's not going to be redundant on this roster, especially with Steven Adams being re-signed. So I like the idea of Carter Bryant, because then if you do have to move, if you take a big swing eventually, you can either put him in the deal and still have, you know, like, or if you have to move Jabari or Tari or something like that, like just continue to draft these good players that are valuable. And then if you do have to consolidate them, you have plenty. So I'll take Carter Bryant here and feel pretty good about it.
Okay, great. I'm up at number 11. By the way, 10 picks in.
This is
like 20 minutes, Bryce.
This
We're
is
25 minutes.
So I was terrified because like if we're trading picks also, this is going to be a disaster. So
We're golden. Okay, I'm up at number 11. I'm going to be honest. I don't really love anything on the board here.
yeah,
From Portland.
no, I'm looking to move back if I'm Portland right now.
Okay. I am looking to move back. Oklahoma City, I think, could like very aggressively look to move up here because they have to consolidate picks, right?
Because they don't have roster spots.
Because they don't have roster spots. Could we do 15 and 24 for 11?
Yeah, I'll do that. I'm fine with that. Cool.
Yeah, let's just get Oklahoma City. If I'm Oklahoma City, the reason I'm doing this is I'm jumping the Spurs, basically, because I think the Spurs and I probably have very similar ideas. So, Blazers trade number 11 to Thunder for number 15 and number 24.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the Oklahoma City Thunder picking now. I will just say, like, for 5 seconds, can we talk about this for 5 seconds?
Yeah.
Derek Queen is a really fun
So
idea for them.
no, I went there for 5 seconds until I got to a different end of the floor, and then I was like, yeah, probably not.
I don't think he really fits what they look for, to be honest. But Derek Queen would be super fun there. Dribble, pass, shoot bigs. Like, they love those guys. He can't really shoot is the issue, but like, man, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Okay. I know who I'm taking. I'm going to take Howard here for sure.
Sure.
Wherever Cedric Howard is on this list. It just ticks all their boxes. Howard's like a great kid, super competitive, super physical, going to continue to fill out weight, going to continue to get stronger, great shooter, which is something that they really need. Like, we're watching the finals right now. The Thunder need guys who can knock down shots in a big way.
Yeah.
He is super long, 6'5" with a 7'2" wingspan. I think he's going to get up to like 225. I think he's going to be like a hoss for people to deal with. I'm a big fan. I mean, look, like I saw him and Nick Clifford work out next to each other, and I love Nick Clifford. I think Nick Clifford's game works way better 5-on-5, right?
Yeah.
But like these two dudes just looked like they were, it's just different watching Cedric versus Nick. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You're watching one on the court versus the other, and again, it's a workout. It's not a 5-on-5 game where Nick's game like really translates. This isn't shots at Nick Clifford at all. I do love him, but like it's a totally different thing when you're watching Cedric. Like, he just looks the part in such a substantial way.
It's funny you bring up those two to get names. The other day, Schleck texted me and we were talking about the draft and Thunder, and these were actually the two names I brought up. Like, I think Coward's a really good fit in OKC, and I actually, like, if they stayed at 15 or whatever, like, I think Neek is an interesting name in OKC as well.
Yeah.
But, so.
Okay. Coward at 11. So the Thunder consolidate 15 and 24 to 11 to get Cedric Howard. I think that's a win for everybody. Okay.
Yep.
You're up with the Chicago Bulls at number 12.
Who has 13 now? Who's next? The Pelicans are back? Okay.
The Pelicans are at 13.
It is again, like, because I know people are going to scream at us, so I at least want to throw it out now, is they're not, we wouldn't draft fears for them, so I guess maybe still not. I'm going to take Queen here unless you think there's a player that, like, we could talk trade that a team would be moving up for. I don't see it on my board.
I mean, look, like the
Baron
Nets have talked about, moving up, but yeah, I mean,
who
they've already moved up here. So
the Nets don't, and they don't have 19 anymore, right? We moved that.
We moved it. So yeah.
Yeah,
I think Queen makes a ton of sense. Like, everything that I hear out of Chicago is like the big thing for them is that they want somebody that like matches their style of play, basically. And Queen's like a perfect stylistic match for them.
Yeah, I will take Queen here. Maybe we'll get into some names that people might start getting interested in after this. So Queen, I'll take it here. I feel pretty good, decent about that if I'm Chicago, especially I think Vooch is on an expiring now. So,
Yep. Okay. Derek Queen to the Chicago Bulls. The Pelicans are up. Look, I am less high on Jeremiah Fears than many. I am going to take Fears here.
okay. So
I have Fears at like number 18 on my board or whatever. I like if I'm the Pelicans and I now have 2 picks, I have 13 and 22, and I can really swing. My issue is not Fears' upside. It's that I think that there's like a chance he's not particularly good, but I have multiple picks here to be able to swing, and I'm going to take the Fears is definitely the biggest swing here. And I am like very comfortable taking Fears as the biggest swing here.
So since this happened, it does make me wonder if somebody could have, if there's a team lower that may have tried to move up there. Because we've talked in the past where this is the dead zone for Fears, but that's before some of the other trades we made. So New Orleans moving into this spot, could change that dynamic just a little bit.
Yeah. This is a beautiful chaos of a mock draft. I love it so much.
I
swear
it.
we're gonna do like a real one next week where we like get serious about this, but this is a beautiful chaos of a mock draft, and I love it so much.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 14, the San Antonio Spurs are up.
So I'm thinking back up big wing. The problem, we talked about this the other day in terms at 14, like if you're drafting Sorber or Beringer, you're taking a guy that's going to be capped at what, 18 minutes a night?
Yeah.
Can I play
maybe 24, but
can I play
you're not going to close with him.
Can I play Danny Wolf with Victor?
Oh, man. I still think that centers are going to guard Wolf versus Victor.
Yeah.
You made me guess. And that's the whole thing. Right.
So I'm not going point guard. So now I'm down to, we've talked about this as well, where this is a interesting wing portion of the draft. Once some of these,
here's the other option for you, just to put it out there. Do you trade out? Like, is there a team that you think wants like a specific player and would trade out?
I out completely or back?
Out completely. Like you get like a future first or something.
Where's my, and I don't have another one. I don't have another pick. Just push one down. Just push it down the road.
It's up to you. I'm throwing that out there. Something that you can do.
Because like the thing is, I like the idea of Neat Clifford, Liam McNeely. If you think Will Riley can shoot, I like some of the wings that are going to go off in about 5 picks.
Yeah. I mean, here's the other thing too. Do you want to try and do a deal for Kevin Durant? Do you want to try and do a deal for Cam Johnson, for something like that?
No, because I think for San Antonio, like the one I'm most excited about is the one we spent a lot of time on their offseason preview. Throw me throw me a team that we think would want to get in here and just get out completely.
Okay. So trading pick.
What about this? Like, would Indiana want to come up for Beringer? Or
that's interesting. What are you getting from Indiana?
So Indiana's at 23, which I like that range. I think I'm going to get a wing then. 54 does nothing for me.
Yeah.
That's a long move, right? That's a huge.
It's got to be a first of some sort.
Yeah.
And moving from 13 or from 14 to 23.
Yeah, and if I'm Indiana, would you do that? Would you move a future first if you're Indiana?
I probably wouldn't. No,
yeah,
they're already out for Siakam.
Yeah, I don't think I would either. So that's probably not going to work. This is probably too far. Okay, just I'll pick.
Okay, you're gonna pick.
Yeah, I'll take Neek here. I like Neek Clifford. I think I think he'll, the shooting is a little bit of a question. I get it. But I do think as much as he played on the ball at Colorado State and was asked to do that, I think he has the off the ball chops to knock down shots and move and just the versatile player that he is. I'll go ahead and rock with this. I feel okay with this if I'm San Antonio. I like Neek quite a bit.
Okay. So number 15, the Portland Trailblazers are up. Blazers have like a weird roster that's like kind of full, right? Like,
yeah.
I think I want like another scoring option probably, but like, I don't know. See, like Danny Wolf is interesting to me for them because he's just something they kind of don't have, but like Denny is almost their Wolf. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a tricky one.
You are about to be out of this big man crunch, right? Like as much as we've talked about this, Ayton is now in his last year. Robert Williams is now in his last year. Duop Reith, like, is, whatever. He's got 1 year restricted free agency. It's not like Klingon's going to be a 30-minute a game player, especially here early in his career. I think some sort of size all of a sudden makes more sense this year whenever you think about those guys, probably not long-term pieces in Robert Williams and DeAndre Ayton, or I'm thinking not. So, a big or like a Wolf type player, I think could be in play.
Yeah.
Especially where like the wings that I like sending there aren't on the board anymore. Or you can take like the real upside with Essengay, right? Like you could just say,
they have 2 picks. I might just take the swing on Essengay here because they have 15 and 24 now.
Yeah,
I'm just going to take the flyer on Essengay.
You're going to fill that center position just as not as high upside maybe, but you could, if you really wanted to back up big for 2 years from now, you're going to get that at 24.
Yeah, I think that's right. And this is a swing where like could really work well with, Denny Avdia, because of Avdia's ability to play with the ball could work really well, like in a few different ways.
Yeah.
I think this is probably, given the fact that I also have 24 now and I can make a swing here, I'm going to take the swing on Essengay.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay.
So
this is now Memphis. Obviously, it says Orlando, but we know that this is Memphis because of the Desmond Bane deal.
Huh. Okay.
You haven't thought much about this yet, have you?
I haven't considered the Grizzlies draft. So big guys, assuming they bring. I kind of want a wing, like a real wing here. This is not a good part of the draft.
I have an idea. I have an idea on a guy that I think they would like.
Okay.
I think Noah Penda ticks so many of their boxes.
Interesting.
I just think he does. I think Danny Wolf is interesting for them, with obviously Edie's out, but then like maybe you can play with Edie and they can go super big. And then you have Jaren and Danny Wolf is kind of an interesting combination to me as well. Like if that's your 3-man big with Brandon Clark 4-man big group, that's really interesting.
And then you just Santi walk? Or sign and trade him or something?
I'd probably try and sign and trade him somewhere, yeah.
Huh.
Or it's an interesting spot at number 16 now. I like what we've done here because we have created different situations that we haven't thought much about.
No, that's what it is fun because of that. I'm not as high on Pinda as I think you are, is a little bit of my struggle here with that. I am with Danny Wolf. Let's go Wolf. And then I just think in that scenario, you move off of other players. Maybe like what did we say earlier at the top of the episode that you would have to attach what? KCP, Cole Anthony, Brandon Clark, maybe Zach Edey, right? Like if you go make a swing. So in this scenario, Wolf can replace some of that depth potentially or be part of the deal. Yeah.
Yeah. Danny Wolf going to the Memphis Grizzlies. Okay. Number 17, the Minnesota Timberwolves. This is pretty simple for me. This is Sorber, if I'm them.
Okay.
And it's between Sorber and J for me.
Yeah.
I want a big to replace Rudy Gobert long term. I just like Sorber a little bit more. I think that might be the last of my lottery guys available. Sorber, is that right? Yeah, probably. So,
Yep.
The Timberwolves get Sorber here. They get a long term big, that works well with Naz Reid, works well with backup Rudy Gobert. I think this is a good spot.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I'm a
Super
18.
smart, super effective, super long, really processes the game at a high level. I think Sorber is the kind of big that Tim Connolly will absolutely love.
This is supposed to be Charlotte, right? This is the one that got messed up.
Is Charlotte, yes.
Because Washington traded up from 6 to 4 to take Ace and used 18. And who did I take at 6? I took Trey Johnson.
Or no. We used Kispert. We didn't use 18.
Oh, okay. Okay, so this is still the Wizards.
Yeah, this is still the Wizards.
Okay. And they took Ace. Got rid of Kispert. I want to take Baron J and just be like play Sar at the 4.
Sure.
It's him, or I just draft floor. Like I draft Liam McNeely to replace what Kispert did.
See, like that's pretty fun to me.
I'll take McNeely here.
Yeah.
I think this makes I think this makes a lot of sense in the scenario that we've had play out today.
Yeah, I think that's right. Okay. I am going to take Baron J at number 19 for the Sixers.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, home run to me.
Yeah.
To end up with Baron J, 6'11", 7'5" wingspan, super long athlete. I think can probably play in the NBA like sparingly early just because he's so athletic. He's a joke athletically. Yeah, Baron J to the Sixers at 19 is like a huge win to me if he falls here. I am skeptical that Baron J would get here or will get here on draft night.
So
I actually don't think he will, for what it's worth.
I'm sure we'll clean it up at the end, but they end up with Colin Murray Boyles and Jan Baron J in that trade. That's crazy.
That's so fun. That's a good one. I like it. Okay, number 20, the Miami Heat. So here's again. I will raise the question.
Okay.
Do you want to trade for Kevin Durant?
Yes. Let's do it here.
Okay. So partner, the Phoenix Suns. So we're sending number 20 to the Suns. Let's go full details. The Phoenix Suns trade Kevin Durant to the Miami Heat. Heat send Andrew Wiggins.
Yep.
Duncan Robinson. That's the money. I believe that money is effective and just works. Number 20, at least. And a future first.
No Khalil Ware?
I don't think they move where.
Okay. All right, cool. We don't need to. We've done a lot of Kevin Durant trade conversations. Cool.
Yep. Okay. So Wiggins, Robinson, number 20, and a future first.
Okay.
So this is the Phoenix Suns up now.
Phoenix Suns. Is it?
You know what they're doing. Just do it.
What?
Bryce.
Who?
You know what the Michigan State Phoenix Suns are doing here.
No, I want to talk about Jaeger. Can we bring Jaeger in there to play point guard?
Jace is better than Jaeger. Like,
what about Vlad Golden here? Let's draft a Michigan player. Can we do that?
This is not my pick. It's your pick. You get to do what you want.
We can take Jace. That's fine.
I think Jace is the right move for what it's worth. Jace is going to go somewhere in the top 20. I also think Jace is like a real shot. Jace strikes me as a very Memphis Grizzlies guy for what it's worth. Would not surprise me if they like Jace quite a bit. Okay. So we're going Jace at 20. I will take Jaeger here at 21 for the Utah Jazz. Shout out Ryan Smith.
Okay.
Jaeger, high level passer, real size, real ability to pass and make plays. I think that Jaeger at 21, this is the range for Jaeger more than like the lottery, which is where he's being discussed. Number 22 is the New Orleans Pelicans in that deal that we did to get the Hawks Common Malawatch.
And you took Fears earlier. Damn. So I'm not taking Traore here. So what do I want to do? I'm trying to look at my board versus.
I will just note one thing here.
Yeah.
There's really only like one significant shooter left, I would argue. Like Walter Clayton Jr.
Walter Clayton Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just drafting really small all of a sudden though. Like I'm coming out with two smaller guards in that scenario.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but by the way, Rafael Devers just got traded. Is that real?
Yeah, I saw it, Paul. I was gonna ask you because I don't follow baseball, so I have no idea how. I don't know what the NBA equivalent of that is, but it must be important.
It'd be like, yeah. Let me think of the NBA equivalent for you while you.
What about? Is this a Will Riley spot?
I think this is a Will Riley spot. If you want it to be a Will Riley spot,
yeah. Let's go Will Riley here.
Why are you taking Will Riley here?
The potential to shoot. I have him pegged as an advantage exploiting wing. So I'm going to add to this wing room. I think, adding him to the likes of Trey Murphy and Herb Jones and kind of seeing that group develop. And if I don't think they should be, but if they are potentially moving one of those guys, but it's going to take Will Riley a little while to be ready anyway, because of how skinny he is right now. But I think he can do all the advantage exploiting things in terms of being a willing passer, being able to put on the deck a little bit. I think he moves off the ball well. Obviously, he has to be able to really shoot it. That is going to be a little bit of a question. But I will take that with him. My biggest worry with Will Riley is he's a second team. The second team gets the best version of Will Riley. And maybe not the team that drafts him, but I'll take that swing here at 22 for the Pelicans.
Okay, I'm into it. If you made me pick a Devers comp, I would say that Devers is like, be like Carmelo Anthony trade, maybe like something like that. So
oh, okay.
When Melo got traded to Denver, or got traded to the Knicks from Denver.
Okay.
Really, really great at one side of the floor. Devers is like an unbelievable batter. He's, probably one of the 10 best batters in baseball, something like that. Fielding probably can't field anymore, but wants to, really wants to continue playing third base, which is not a particularly effective use of his skill set at this point. I think at some point we'll probably have to move to first, just like Carmelo eventually had to move to the power forward spot. I think Carmelo is probably the comp for Devers.
Cool. I actually did know this name because he played for the Red Sox. So
yeah, there you go. Okay. I'm up at 23. So I just get my pick of the bigs here, I would say.
Is this,
I guess there aren't that many available though.
This is the Pacers. Yeah.
Yeah. For the Pacers.
So you have Newell, if you want to, I think Newell actually probably fits them fairly decent. And then,
yeah, but I have a guy ahead of Newell on my
board.
No,
I was gonna say, and then you have Cockbrenner, obviously, for you.
I am just going to take Ryan. I'm going to take Ryan Kalkbrenner. Let's be honest here. I will say there's at least 5% of me that kind of wants to take Hugo for them.
Sure.
Because Hugo is like a big, enormous dude. Hugo can't shoot, which is a problem for that offense. But he is really freaking physical and strong and powerful in a way that they've like found success with defensively in a real way. I'm going to take Kalkbrenner here because I think they just desperately need a backup center, like for the love of God. And I have a higher grade on Kalkbrenner than I do on Reynaud and Newell and a few of those guys. But yeah, I'm going to go Kalkbrenner, but I stopped and really strongly considered Hugo.
Sure.
Okay, number 24, I believe you're up with, and that is going to be the Portland Trailblazers.
Part of the Thunder trade, and then they drafted Noah Essengay
At 15.
At 15. So I'm thinking like I could go one of the bigs that I like here. We talked through that earlier.
Yeah.
I'm also wondering like Walter Clayton Jr. Like, is there room in the backcourt for that? Like,
if you think you're moving
Simons,
it's a great pick. If you think you're moving Simons,
I'm gonna go with that. Like, I think I'll go Walter Clayton Jr. and under the whatever that Simons is gonna be moved in the next 9 months whenever the trade deadline is.
Sure, I like it. Okay, so I'm up now with the Orlando Magic at number 25. It says here they have Danny Wolf. They do not have Danny Wolf. That's going to Memphis. I think that my top player available now is Hugo. I want to confirm that real quick and just kind of run through. But yeah, I'm just going to take Hugo here. I know Hugo can't shoot, but Orlando just solved their issues. Like they just solved all of it's so funny. Like it would have made so much more sense for us to flip this probably and go Hugo at 24 and Walter Clayton Jr. at 25.
Sure. Yeah.
But hey, if the
I thought about
Blazers
Hugo. I thought about Hugo for Portland. Like I wouldn't have hated that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, the more I watch Hugo, I think I'm gonna end up with Hugo higher than Nick Clifford for what it's worth.
Nice. I mean, we're finally getting some tape that. And the measurements, we talked about this whenever the measurements came out. Like he was one of the winners of the international measurements.
Dude is a fucking Mack truck, man.
Yeah.
6'6", 222 as a teenager with like a 6'11" wingspan. I think Hugo is going higher than 25.
Yeah.
I'll say that. Number 26, we each get a Brooklyn pick here. So 26, who are you going with?
Nolan Traore.
Okay. So you're going to go Traore 26. Why do you like Traore here?
So the Nets ended up trading up and getting VJ. Yeah, I like this. I think Traore at the very least is a backup point guard in the NBA. Like, and Brooklyn could use these an on-ball creator type of player, like primary initiator at the very least. And I think there's still some upside that he's more than that. So I actually love this fit, not only for Brooklyn, I love this fit for Traore as well.
Okay. Number 27, I am up now. We've taken VJ. We have taken Traore. So we probably want to go a little bit more front courty.
Yeah. For me, it'd be one of those two guys there.
Yeah. Who do we like here? We like.
Pinda's a name here too, right? Like if Brooklyn's just going to keep both Claxton and Day'Ron Sharp, then
Penda is who I'm taking. I'm going to be honest. Like I just completely lost track that Penda is available.
Yeah.
Penda's fucking awesome. I would have taken Penda a little bit earlier, to be honest, but I just lost track. That's on me, folks. This draft became dizzying.
I think we're in a similar spot on Pinda offensively. My thing with Pinda is I think I'm a little lower on his defense than others. The one thing I will have in a conversation with somebody the other day, just his body type. Like you talk about being a Mack truck with Hugo Gonzalez. Noah Pinda is that as well. And I do think those guys can be real valuable in terms of the matchups they can take just because of their strength that they possess. And in that way, I do think he's a pretty valuable defensive player.
Totally agree. Okay, Boston at number 28.
28, Boston. You know what? I'm going to take a guy I just like, Sam. Like this has kind of become my guy. I'm going to take Maxime Renaud here.
It's a great fit here. It really is.
I don't know what they're going to do at the center position. We've talked about them moving on from Porzingis. Horford's an unrestricted free agent. I believe Cornette's an unrestricted free agent. I think there's somewhere in the like Maxime Renault is valuable for this team. I really, really like his offensive game. And I think he's a positional defender. Like there's obvious limitations. I actually really like this for him. And I think it can make sense for Boston also. I like this.
Okay. I love it too. Fits their offense to a T.
Yeah.
Number 29, the Phoenix Suns. We've already gotten our Michigan State fix. I don't think that Cohen Carr is available here. So we're going to have to, go hunting, I guess. Let's go with, so they need a big probably. I think this is just Asa Newell.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Big enough, athletic enough, ticks boxes for them. Plays super hard, has a chance to shoot it, but we'll see where that goes. Yeah, let's go athletic, big.
Sure.
Asa Newell. Number 30, the LA Clippers.
All right. So, and I'm sure we'll get into this more in terms of like players left on our board. To me, this is either Rasheer Fleming or Ben Suraf. I'm gonna go Fleming. I have Fleming rated higher. I know for you, I don't know if you like it here, but I know for you, you've talked about like Fleming being able to play a little bit like as an undersized center. And this is a team.
I think that's going to be his role for what it's worth.
And so especially, I think that makes sense here if that is going to be his role, because this is a team that could use some size in regards to that. I'm a little bit more confident that he can play the 4. I don't think he's a wing. I would not call Rasheer Fleming a wing. I would call Rasheer Fleming a forward/big. But like right in this spot where Cockbrenner's off the board, Maxime Renault is off the board. I mean, I guess people can make an argument for Janai Broom, but I'll take Fleming. I like Fleming. So,
any Drake Powell thoughts here? We're gonna go Fleming, but
yeah, no, like
I think Powell's probably the guy that we didn't pick here that is most likely to go in the first. If you made me guess right now.
Yeah, so like my next group of names are Suraf, Drake Powell, Adu Thiero, Janai Broom, and I've really started to come around on Alex Tui's game. So he's another guy that I like the versatility he brings on both ends.
Yep. Fair enough. How about that? JJ Spawn coming down 16 and 17. That's pretty cool. We're going to get JJ Spawn major victory.
What are you talking about? I don't know
We're
who
talking
that
about
is.
the US Open, baby.
I thought you were talking about a commenter. Like you were about to put a comment up on like, hey, JJ Spawn loved our draft or something like that. But no.
JJ Spawn started the day bogeying 5 of his first 6 holes and was not in first, like starting the day. But he just came down the stretch at Oakmont and went like, I think 2 under in his final 6 or 7. And it looks like he's probably going to win. Good for him, man. Good for him. He was definitely the best guy I thought throughout the week, like the most consistent guy. Okay. Number 1, Cooper Flagg. Number 2, Dylan Harper. Number 3, we sent VJ Edgecombe to the Brooklyn Nets for number 8, number 19, and a 2027 New York Knicks first round pick. Plus, we sent Drummond to Brooklyn. Number 4, Ace Bailey goes to the Washington Wizards with Corey Kispert.
Yep.
No. With Josh Okogie for number 6 and Corey Kispert. Number 5, Con Knipple. Number 6, Trey Johnson to the Hornets. Number 7, Common Malawach. We traded up with the Hawks to get Malawach. Basically did number 13, number 22, and a future second round pick to the New Orleans Pelicans. The Hawks get Malawach. Number 8, Colin Murray-Boyles to the 76ers after their trade down. Number 9, Kasparas Yakashonis to the Toronto Raptors. Number 10, Carter Bryant to the Houston Rockets. Number 11, the Thunder consolidated their 2 picks, going number 15 and number 22 to move up to number 11 to get Cedric Coward. Number 12, Derek Queen goes to the Chicago Bulls. Number 13, Jeremiah Fears goes to the New Orleans Pelicans after they traded down to acquire number 22 as well from number 7. Nick Clifford goes 14. Noah Essengay goes 15 after their trade down with Oklahoma City. with the Blazers. Number 16, Danny Wolf to the Memphis Grizzlies. Number 17, Thomas Sorbert to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Number 18, Liam McNeely to replace Corey Kispert in Washington. Number 19, Johan Berenger with that second 76ers pick that they acquired from the Brooklyn Nets in their trade down from number 3. Number 20, Jace Richardson. We traded Kevin Durant to the Miami Heat for this pick, another future first, Andrew Wiggins and Duncan Robinson. Yegor Demon, 21. Will Riley, 22, as the second piece of that Hawks trade down. Number 23, Brian Kalkbrenner to the Pacers. Number 24, Walter Clayton to the Portland Trailblazers as the second piece of their trade down. Number 25, Hugo Gonzalez to Orlando. Number 26, Nolan Traore. Number 27, Noah Penda, both to the Brooklyn Nets. Number 28, Max Reynaud to the Boston Celtics. Number 29, Asa Newell to the Phoenix Suns. Number 30, Rasheer Fleming to the LA Clippers. Jesus, my goodness, we got through it.
We crushed that.
Is
Amazing.
a mess, and we got through it in an hour and 10 minutes. That was our fastest mock draft that we've ever done, Bryce, and I'm very proud of us for it.
Do you want to give some, I know I mentioned a few names there, like just a few second round names that like for you outside of, I mentioned Saraf, Drake Powell, Thiero, Broom, Tui. Are there some other names that you like that I didn't mention there?
Let's see if we got anybody else who didn't go in the first round for me.
We did get the international players that are staying in and getting out as we recorded, I think, as well. I don't know if you want to touch on that at all.
On the internationals who decided to withdraw.
Yeah.
We can talk about that real quick. Yeah. So
Abdulas, Hinchel.
Yeah. So look, I didn't put any of these guys in the mock draft. Momo Faye, Ben Henschel, Nicholas Avdalas. I'd kind of been told that none of these guys were going to be in the draft.
Yeah.
So I ended up doing that, basically. I ended up not putting them in because I didn't think any of them were going to be in the draft. So none of this is all that surprising to me. It's kind of the easiest way to say that. Obviously decimates the second round in a significant way, like completely decimates it. I'm fascinated to see who else, ends up in this draft. I think it's plausible that we get some, interesting players that are in this thing. So, Gavoni, did a great job of kind of saying all the guys that are in. Essengay, Berenger, Hugo, Traore, Saraf, Penda, Hansen Yang, Alex Tui, Markovic, Rocco Zakarski, Dink Pate, Ethan Almanza, Saliu Niang, Mohamed Diawara, and Eli John Njai are going to also be in this thing. I might have to update the draft guide a little bit tonight and slide some of the international guys around. Some of the other international guys that I'll move up in the draft guide, I will have Hugo a little bit higher, probably around like 20-ish if you made me bet. I will have Berenger a little bit higher, probably around like 15, 16 or so. I will probably rank now Saliu Niang and Mohamed Diawara and Eli John Njai. I need to refresh on those guys a little bit. Niang I didn't really like when I watched. I think he plays for Trento if memory serves. Njai is just like a total project, and Diawara is like kind of an interesting defender, but I did not really like him for the under 18 French team. By the way, that under 18 French team, just kind of looking back here, Nolan Traore, obviously, and Johan Berenger. Diawara was on that team as well, if I remember correctly. Or was it Diakite or Diawara? I can't remember. There are two of them. It was Diakite, looking back on it. But we get Noah Essengay was also on that team.
Right?
So we're going to get 3 under 18 guys. And that team, I think, finished 4th in that tournament, which is kind of funny. So yeah, this is where we're at.
And I think the big, I don't know if Abdulas is looking at college options, but even in Gavoni's Yeah, and even in Gavoni's tweets, like we know Henschel's been, looking at potential NCAA options in Momo Fay as well. So like that's where
Momo Fay is going to be overseas next year.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's my read. Don't quote that. That's
sure.
My read is he's overseas next year.
But like that's what to keep those names, in your minds moving forward, because those guys could potentially be obviously 2026, but guys that you could see in college hoops next year potentially. So
yeah, like I would guess that Abdulas is in college next year. Henschel's situation is a little bit more complicated. I don't really feel the need to dig into that right now. Just it's a little bit more complicated. Abdulas, I feel pretty confident will be in college next year.
nice.
I think that it's very public that there are a lot of rumors about Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
So I mean, look, like if I'm going to be honest, like all due respect to Virginia Tech, I hope he ends up there. They did a great job evaluating him. If I'm like Kansas, I'm trying to go get Abdulas. So
Yeah.
like,
Right.
I'm going for some of these guys. So
Yep.
that's where I'm at. Okay. Anybody else we didn't draft? Like Adu Tierro is another guy. He'll go somewhere 25 to 35, I would guess. Anybody else here looking through? Cam Jones. I think that's really it. Sion James. I think Sion James goes higher than what people think. I'm going to say that for what it's worth.
Sure. Yep.
So, okay. Bryce, we're going to get out of here under 2 hours. You
Amazing.
were worried. You were worried.
No. I wasn't worried. I would have bet my house that we weren't getting under 2 hours once we started for 40 minutes on rightfully so. That's a big trade. I was just like, Randy, it's gonna be 8 o'clock.
No.
So I will say real quick for the listeners, not this coming week on the Pistons Pulse, where I'm hoping that I can get Sam Vecenie to join us. The week after that, the week of the draft over on the Pistons Pulse, I'm going to bring on a couple guests, and we're going to do a mock draft starting at 26. So we're going to draft 1 through 25 before we record, and then we're going to go 26 to 40 because that's where the Pistons pick lands at 37. So if you guys are interested in like the end of the first round, top of the second, some of those names, we're going to do an interesting mock over on the Pistons Pulse doing that. Not this week, the week after, like on the Monday, the 23rd or whatever that would be.
Yep. Go follow Bryce over there. Anything else you need to plug before?
Yeah, real quick. Motor City Hoops on Twitter, on Blue Sky, the Motor City Hoops Substack. Again, if you are a draft person, I'm going to end up having like 11 of the prospects in that range. The Maxime Renaults, the Ryan Cockbrenners, the Duthier, like all of those guys. So if you have a team that's in that range, I have video breakdowns on all those guys and some free agents. I've done Jake LaRavia, Naz Reid, Sam Merrill. I know he's not a free agent, but PJ Washington will come out this week, Nikhil Alexander-Walker. So some just interesting names for the offseason that are discussed being moved. Maybe your team is in play for those guys. I just mentioned the Pistons Pulse. Otherwise, Game Theory Podcast with the Sam Vecenie. Thank you for all your support on the offseason previews. We've had a lot of fun. We've recorded 27 of 30 of those, so it's kind of crazy. We're getting close to the end.
I'm just waiting for us to have to re-record San Antonio.
Oh
I'm
my
going to
gosh.
be so mad. I'll be so mad.
So we've told some of you have heard, I guess, that we've recorded the Knicks one already 2 weeks ago, and Tom Thibodeau got fired a couple days later. So we are holding off as long as possible on that one, and obviously the two finals teams. San Antonio is recorded, and hopefully drops before something crazy happens.
Yeah, so the order we currently have scheduled on off-season previews, shout out to GMAC, who is the best. Washington tomorrow, Brooklyn on Tuesday, San Antonio on Wednesday. I will be annoyed if we don't get certain news about things there. So we will see. Okay.
Yep.
Go to The Athletic. Keep me employed. The draft guide is out. Please go subscribe, go take a look at that thing. We have so much fun making it every year. All of the editors and design team on the back end do such an amazing job of kind of making sure that everybody is involved in, making this thing look as good as it possibly can look, right? I think that's all we got, right? I think that's where we're at right now. I think we're in a positive position to go. And
You have 55
Man,
seconds to close it out. You got 55.
let's close it out. All right. Thank you all for listening. Until next time, we'll talk soon.